Okay. Well, I managed to do that, everybody. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. I am Barbara Derrick, and I am the Executive Director for Smoke Free SC, and we're really excited to have you here today. As I said, I have no idea what's going on with my camera, but it is not working, so I'll deal with that at a later time and not worry about boring you all with my attempt to fix it. Where Tara just joined us. Morning, Tara. And I
Morning.
was telling them that Eva is probably ruling the roost with you. And and we are excited today to have Liz Romano from Rinck, who we saw their presentation in NCTOH in last last June or last August. I can't remember which it was. And we really enjoyed what they had to say about their cessation programs. And we always like to share different campaigns out there. So I'm going to turn it over to Liz to start, unless Tara has anything she'd like to share. Doesn't look like it. Okay, Liz, we're going to turn it over to you.
Hi. Can everyone hear me okay? And see my title slide on the screen as well? Great. I'm Liz. I'm an account director at Rinck Advertising. Our agency is headquartered in Maine, but I'm based in New Hampshire, so pretty far up north from y'all. My fellow Rinksters, as we call ourselves, are situated across the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and Midwest. So we have a distributed workforce working for the agency, but we do have um, an office building in Lewiston, Maine. So thank you all for joining, and thanks to Smoke Free SC for having me. Today, I'll share a really quick snippet about Rinck Advertising, our agency, and I'll walk through some insights, creative sampling, and performance highlights for three different tobacco and nicotine cessation campaigns that we developed and implemented to resonate with high risk populations um, for tobacco and nicotine use in Maine and Vermont, including an LGBTQ focused um, campaign called Quit Your Way, also a young adult cessation campaign called One Less Thing to Worry About, and an adult focused campaign called Quit Like a Mainer. Um, so here we go. Little bit about Rinck. We are a small but full service and nationally recognized social marketing agency. We specialize in public health, behavior change, and population level communications. Today, obviously, we're talking about tobacco cessation. However, we do work across multiple behavior health verticals, most of which are listed there. And I will be sharing this presentation with Tara and Barbara later, so it can be distributed after today. Um, all of our campaigns, we sort of apply to all of our campaigns, we apply this strategic approach that begins with understanding our audience, which is one of the most fundamental, and important things. Um, we understand the audience not just from a demographic level, but also what are their motivations, what are their barriers, how do they identify themselves, what's their culture, what's their um, experience, lived experience, and what is their readiness to change. So we take these steps, we capture audience insights, we develop a strategy to reach that audience. We then develop creative, so visuals and messaging to that's tailored to that audience, and the messaging feels authentic to that audience. Everything from tone of voice to images to graphics. And then we implement media and we monitor it along the way in campaign, um, optimize it, make some changes, learn from that performance, and ideally initiate or elicit some level of change. Um, and then we take those insights and apply it to our next campaign. and evolve and improve as we go. Um, so as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking about three different um, campaigns that were focused on high risk populations. We all know this, but it's always nice to reinforce the fact that um, the same quit messaging doesn't work for everybody, right? We have to understand what are the barriers to that individual or that group of individuals who have similar characteristics and identify similarly. What motivates them? How are they consuming media? What channels are they on? What platforms are they on? Um, what devices do they use? And then what do they seek out for a source of truth? What are their sources of validation? Who do they trust for information? Is it their peers? Is it, you know, local organizations? So we applied this approach to all of our campaigns. And again, starting with listening and learning about all of these factors that impact these populations. So, first, I'll go through the Quit Your Way campaign, and you'll see a similar format for all of the three campaigns I'm going to talk about. Um, first, we'll talk about the insights. So, what did we learn from focus groups and surveys with this population? We learned that their tobacco use is often influenced by friends, family, and social environments, which isn't uncommon for other groups as well. But um, tobacco for them or nicotine fulfills stress relief and, a need for socialization. Most of the folks that we talk to understand risks and feel some level of concern, um, but still needed further motivation to take action. Um, in order to take action, the strongest motivator for them was health and loved ones, and stress remained the biggest barrier to that change. Um, and many, interestingly enough, already used a lot of uh, healthy coping strategies already, like exercise, music, self-care. So taking all these insights, and then applying them to creative, we tested some creative. So here's a snapshot of what we tested among this group. Um, and these two images or these two concepts rose to the top with a perceived effective score of over 3.5, which is considered effective. Um, I assume we're all familiar with what a PE score is, but it is a scale um, that measures dimensions, everything from is this relatable? Is this persuasive? Is it credible? Can I trust the information? Will it motivate me? Um, will it motivate my peers? So all those um, sort of points together come together with this collective perceived effective score. And anything above a 3.5 is considered effective in terms of making someone do something when they engage with it. Um, so what we did is we sort of did a combination of these. So the final creative looks a little different, but what we did focus on is the nod to pride, but not being overt. And again, the end result is came out of the focus groups and testing all those pieces that I shared in the previous slide. Um, we focused on empowering safe and positive messaging, which is demonstrated here, as well as authentic imagery, natural, not forced. Um, and then the creative also drove the audience to a tailored landing experience. So written to that audience, to their barriers, to their motivations, um, with relevant imagery. And then um, sort of a snapshot of what the campaign looked like in terms of platforms. We were on Snapchat, Grinder, on programmatic display and video, TikTok, and Meta, which is um, Instagram and Facebook. We ran for 5 months, and our goals were to increase calls to the state of Maine's Quit link, and increase online registrations as well. Um, so our outcomes were successful. We had over 6 million impressions and over 700 clicks to enroll, and which resulted in 129 completed registrations. And we tend to really focus on the intent to enroll rather than just registrations, because we know that while during this campaign, some of these folks actually registered, where we hope with future campaigns and ongoing messaging that Maine Quit Link will remain top of mind when they are ready. So we look at ad clicks, video views. We also look at engagement on the site as well. So we'll look at time on site. We'll look at specific clicks on the buttons. So they may click to enroll, like this 763. Obviously, only 129 of them registered, but this is pretty impactful that we got, over 760 folks to do something and intend to enroll and take that almost last step towards enrollment. So that's the LGBTQ campaign. And then this is the young adult campaign called One Less Thing to Worry About. So when we spoke with young adults, we learned that, again, similar to LGBTQ, social influence is a primary driver. Stress and anxiety and depression contributed to initiation of use. Most of them have tried to quit, but without support, which, as we all know, is very, very challenging. Um, Pure enjoyment of the experience of using nicotine was a barrier, and a lot of that probably has to do with socialization. Um, and nearly 60% of them tried tobacco or nicotine between the ages of 15 to 18. Um, and peer-to-peer sharing presents a strong opportunity for outreach. And in this particular campaign, we did use peer influencers as a component of the campaign. So influencer marketing strategies. And then lastly, 86% believe vaping is addictive or more addictive than cigarettes. So there is a level of awareness of harm. Um, with this creative, again, we tested a number of different options, both visually and copy wise. These were the winning concepts, and what we did is actually we really took the sort of copy and language from this concept and paired it with the visuals from this concept, which is interesting. So we focused on inspirational imagery and font style, but messaging um, that was specific to cause and effects of the impacts of vaping. And then here's where we landed. So again, inspirational imagery, still natural, not forced, um, clean headlines, focusing on not only negatives but also positives about, um, improving your mental health, paired with what some negative impacts of use as well. We ran this campaign on channels that obviously we knew would reach young adults. So Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, programmatic, um, connected TV, I mentioned influencer partnerships, and then we also did a more grassroots partnership with a local soccer organization, a semi-pro soccer league. So we were present at games. Um, and it ran for 3 months. And our goals were to increase awareness of 802 quits, which is the quit line in Vermont, and drive action through call, text, or online enrollment. Um, we yielded over 2,700 intent to enroll actions. I mentioned before we look at intent to enroll as well as final enrollment, um, but we tend to look at the intent a little more heavily than final enrollment. Another thing to note, which I'm sure is similar in South Carolina, we as the media partner um, don't really have access to influence once a user lands on the enrollment page. We don't really have any influence on them. So our goal with our messaging is to drive them there and drive that intent. And then it's sort of up to the quit line from that point forward. And obviously, that's probably one of the hardest phases of the journey is to get someone to be willing and ready to enroll. Um, and that brings us to our adult campaign. Um, Among adults in Maine, we learned that social influence, family use, stress relief, and addiction drive their use. And shame and guilt are common barriers to seeking support. Cost savings or the financial impact does matter. Um, and quit for good messaging feels a little intimidating and less motivating. So it's a little too far-fetched, if you will. Um, Quit for good, may not resonate with everyone because they may not think that's attainable. Um, so countering that, messages that normalize multiple quit attempts being okay resonated strongly, and hopeful, supportive, judgment-free messaging performs best among this audience. And also realistic, relatable stories and imagery, increased engagement with the messaging, and again, related to the financial and cost savings aspect, free and low cost support remained highly motivating. I don't have the sampling of creative that we actually tested, but what I do have is a sampling of our final product. So we focused on individuals and who they are and how they're overcoming their either how they have or sorry, how they overcame or are overcoming their addiction. So you can see some examples here. He is a go-getter. He built a plan to quit vaping with the quit link. This one I like in particular. Best grandpa ever. If I quit smoking, so can you. So we really honed in on individuals and characters and what is unique about them and their journey. We actually also adapted this campaign for Vermont. So we have a quit like a Vermonter version of this as well. So that's kind of cool that it can apply to multiple states. So localized identity-driven messaging really resonated here because it reflected the real lived experience of Mainers. And it just felt more relatable and accessible and achievable for our audience. So with this campaign, we ran on Google Search, Performance Max, Meta on programmatic display and video, YouTube, connected TV, and digital audio. We ran for 12 months. So that's quite long. full annual campaign. And here's a snapshot of our results. This is an interesting one. 1 in 12 website visits resulted in a quit action. We increased clicks to enroll or call by 65% and increased completed registrations by over 50% and NRT orders by over 35%. And that concludes my sharing of campaigns. Um, if you all want to take a picture or go to this link, this QR code drives to a microsite with case studies on all the campaigns I just presented and a case study on a youth vaping campaign we also developed and ran. So I'll just leave the screen here in case anyone wants to take a picture or, go to that website, and I'll open it up to any questions.
I have a question, Liz. Who are your main, and you may have mentioned this in the beginning. I'm sorry, I was a few minutes late. Who are your, I guess your main customers? Is it Maine, like the state? Is it Vermont, New Hampshire, like their public health departments or folks like
Yeah,
that?
so our primary clients right now are the state of Maine and the state of Vermont. Our agency has quite a few other clients right now, but our I guess heavy hitters are the state of Maine and the state of Vermont at this time.
Nope.
Any other questions?
Did the QR code work for everyone? Did anyone try it yet?
I did the QR code and it worked for me.
Okay, great. Great.
Me too.
I can put that
Thank
in
you for
our
that.
newsletter that we send out as well. And like you mentioned, Liz, we'll put this presentation, we'll link the presentation with the recording on our website so folks can access the presentation and recording at the same time.
Great. Yeah, and I'm happy to stay on for a little bit longer if any other questions pop up.
Well, thank you, Liz, so much. This is very helpful and informative. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Enjoy everyone. I hope everyone enjoys their weekend. It's Friday.
Yes.
Yeah. Stay cool. And
Yeah, it's not too hard up here in the Northeast to stay cool, but we do have a heat wave coming apparently, but our heat wave is probably nothing like your heat wave.
no, we are special here. It is, especially in Columbia, we're famously hot is our city motto. So,
Oh boy.
well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you both, and thanks to everyone for joining today.
All right. And normally we ask if anybody who has joined us today has anything they'd like to share or say before we sign off. It's a quiet group today.
Yeah, quiet day.
Yeah, very quiet. All right. Well, if nobody has anything to say, thank you, Kimberly. We will sign off. So that will give you some time back this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Tammy.
All righty. Tara, I'm gonna call you in just a few.
Okay, bye.